Thanks, Jody. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton for today's agenda, that Council adopt the agenda for the regular Council meeting May 25th as presented.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of last meeting minutes. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Brookwell that Council adopt the May 11th, 2026 regular Council meeting minutes as presented.
I give you that motion, Mayor.
Thank you.
One moment, please. We have a request to speak.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Kathy.
It's all good. Thanks very much. I just wanted to clarify, I wasn't very clear in my statement under Council and Board Committee reports. So just clarification so the right people are getting acknowledgement where it says Councillor Cooey shared that West Winds Community passed a motion for the replacement of High Country Lodge in Diamond Valley. Actually, credit goes to Diamond Valley, who made a commitment to this build in order, which allows West Winds to move forward with an application for funding. So it was Diamond Valley Council that made the motion to support this acquisition.
Thank you for the clarification, Councillor. See nothing else. All in favor? Carried. Public comments. First one, we have a email from Carol McMillan dated May 24th regarding the operating budget that is attached to the meeting minutes as submitted and will be included in the meeting minutes for today. Any other comments from the public before we get started? Maureen?
Is it on? Okay. Just wondering why Carol's letter isn't read out at this meeting for what starts, other than being just attached to the meeting.
It was sent to us via email, so that's how it was submitted. We don't read every one of them out. It's submitted, it's part of... Yeah, but is that what we're going to start to do, is if a lengthy email is written out and just handed? Like, Carol was welcome to attend today's meeting and read it herself.
Yes,
I don't know. I think there's some. Councillor.
The only thing is, I think that the email requested, because she couldn't be in attendance, that we read the email out.
Okay. Would somebody like to read the email? Would you like to read it, Vicky?
Sure, I can read it if I can find it. Sure.
but I will speak after.
So sorry. Didn't mean to hit your microphone.
That's okay.
So it does start here. The email reads, "Good morning, Legislative Services Team and Council members. Since I cannot attend the regular council meeting on Monday, May 25th at 3 p.m., I'm submitting public comments via email to be read during the public comments section of the meeting. My public comment is regarding agenda number 5.1, bylaw 4661/2026 property tax bylaw. On February 9th, 2026, I voiced some questions regarding the opening and capital budgets presented at the council meeting. I later submitted these questions via email to Jordan Pack, Finance Manager, who responded on February 11. I have forwarded that email stream here so the Mayor and Council can review it for context before the May 25th meeting. As you can see by question number 1, I asked the Council to confirm the dollar amount and percentage increase of the approved 2026 municipal tax levy, in brackets 17,715,697, end bracket, compared to the amounts and percentages for the last 3 years of tax levy increase 2023, 2024, and 2025. As you can see by the chart the finance manager provided, there is a significant increase to the 2026 municipal tax levy. 2023 was $14,982,200. 2024 was $15,267,379. 2025 was $16,022,425. And 2026 is $17,715,697. As you can see, almost 3 years of previous tax increases are scheduled for 2026. I thought this would concern council, especially the 2021 to 2025 returning council members, as they participated in the 2023 to 2025 budget processes and would have historical knowledge to compare to this year's tax levy. Additionally, for question number 3, I feel that specific projects should be noted so the public can understand such a significant increase to the municipal tax levy. I hope council will seriously consider my comments. Thank you for presenting my email and public comments. I greatly appreciate it. Regards, Carol McMillan.
Okay, thanks for doing that, Vicki. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Maureen.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and Council, pertaining to Bylaw 4661/2026, the 2026 Property Tax Bylaw. I would like to ask some questions, and hopefully Council will seriously not pass this bylaw without these questions being answered. The taxes have risen to a point that we, the taxpayers, aren't getting our money's worth or can afford the taxes. In 2023, 2024, 2025, the tax levy was increased by $1.47 million. That is 3 years of increase. Now in 2026, we have raised the levy by 1.5 in 1 year. Oops. So I would like to have someone explain to me why this increase of 1.5 million in 1 year. And I would like to know what the top 5 projects are getting this increase. And I wait for your answers. Probably Jordan.
So this is public comment section, right? It's not Q&A time. So you're coming at and you're looking for these top 5. Now I can give you one right off the bat, which is the increase to staffing at the rec center for the pool and for the expansion of the pool, but as well as the increased service level that the community 100% sat and filled this council chambers asking for. Better staffing for lifeguarding, et cetera, because we've always ran on casual lifeguards. We've had to go to full-time lifeguards. Staffing is
well, that won't be going till September.
I'd appreciate if you didn't interrupt me, Maureen. Please, let's not do this. You asked a question. I'm trying to give you some answers to it. We're not going to be able to give you everything today. But that's one thing. Like when we do it, what's this year's 3.22% tax increase? That's pretty standard. You can go back 10 years and add them all up and come up with a big number and say, but we do it. It's a zero-based budget process that we start with. And we, as you saw, when we went through our budget deliberations, you take things out and you keep things in until you come down to the increase that council has appetite for, and we started with a request to keep it under 4%, which we got to 3.22. So, like you're asking me to disclose all this stuff that's already been disclosed through the whole budget process. You want me to rewind that within 2 minutes here today, and I'm just not.
Well, I thought maybe off the top of the head, you could give me the other 4 projects that
Yeah,
are
I
part
can.
of this 1.5 million.
Yeah, I can. I'm not prepared. I don't have that kind of memory from months ago to do that. I'll give
Okay.
you the big one that I know of. That's probably the top one. But,
And like I said, I'd really consider the council to really think about this.
yeah. Anyone else? Iris? And if other council members want to jump in on this and mention, items that that we put forth that make up this increase, Crescent Ave replacements, mains replacements, RCMP costs. What's that? Library improvements to the parking, the lighting, et cetera. One that you were part of requesting, Maureen? New snowplow. Yeah. Go ahead, Iris.
All right. Iris Prieb, I'm a High River resident. Good afternoon, members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you about agenda item 5.1. The report presented to council by administration contains several items that require further clarification. Item number 1, the report shows a decrease in the residential property tax rate for each of the previous 3 years. But for the 2026 residential rate, administration is requesting an increase. Why did administration's new zero-based budget methodology produce the first residential tax rate increase in 4 years? What is administration's justification for the resulting 10% increase to only the municipal taxes for the average 2026 property value? Item number 2, in last year's bylaw, administration identified the amounts raised by property taxes for principal debt payment, current year capital, and transfer to reserves. Why did administration remove these 3 items from the 2026 bylaw? Item number 3, the 2026 bylaw states the 2025 property tax bylaw is hereby repealed. The training material provided on the Municipal Affairs website includes a property tax checklist which states that the last year's bylaw should not be rescinded. Why is administration's bylaw not in compliance with this Municipal Affairs requirement? Item number 4, the town reserve policy definitions state capital reserves are generally established to fund expenditures of a capital nature. Tax Stabilization Reserve provides funding for annual operating deficit, offsets for extraordinary and unforeseen requirements, corrections, one-time expenditures, revenue shortfalls, and to minimize fluctuations on the municipal tax levy and revenue. Why did administration add the $153,000 capital project costs to the 2026 property taxes instead of funding that amount from either of these reserves? Serving the residents of High River requires being accountable to them for your decisions. It would therefore be appreciated if, during the debate of this agenda item, council would discuss the questions raised in consideration of whether the 2026 tax bylaw should be approved as presented. Thank you for your time.
Can you submit that to us so that we can, I didn't have time to write that all down while you were talking, so can that be forwarded to legislative services? So that,
Just have it on my screen.
can you email it to us?
Is there, right now that's not working on this device. Is there a way I can connect to a printer and have it printed out for council, and then I can still email it after
Get
the
on the
meeting?
town Wi-Fi and sling it over. Can you just take a picture of it with your phone, Jody, and then we've got it. And anyone else? Public comments? See none? We will move on. Thank you very much. Uh, 2026 property tax bylaw. Jordan. Send it to everybody. Please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Administration is presenting bylaw 4661 2026, the 2026 property tax bylaw for council consideration. This bylaw is required each year under the Municipal Government Act and establishes the tax rates needed to collect the municipal levy and the required requisitions. Council adopted the 2026 operating and capital budgets on February 9th, 2026, and adopted operating budget amendments on April 27th, 2026. Based on these approved budgets, the town will collect $17,540,697 through general municipal taxation. Municipal revenues and transfers from other sources are estimated at $19,149,233. The 2026 municipal tax rates include a 3.22% increase for residential and non-residential properties. The municipal rate for residential and farmland properties is 0.53248%, and the municipal rate for non-residential properties is 0.69222%. In addition to municipal taxes, the town must collect and remit third-party requisitions. These include approximately $9,122,784 for school requisitions, $275,086 for Seniors Foundation through West Wind Communities, and $1,620 for designated industrial property. These amounts are collected through the tax notice and passed on to the required organizations. The total tax levy, including municipal taxes and requisitions, is approximately $26,940,187. If council passes this bylaw, administration will prepare and distribute the 2026 property tax notices to all assessed property owners. Administration recommends that council give all three readings to bylaw 4661 2026 and repeal or rescind bylaw 4650 2025, the 2025 property tax bylaw. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Questions from council? Councillor McGonigal.
I haven't checked myself, but Ms. Priebus's comments about not rescinding bylaws as a direction from municipal affairs, why are we doing a rescission if municipal affairs is requesting that we not?
Please.
So I will answer that one because I'm the one that gave that direction to Jordan, and I'm not seeing that anywhere in the MGA. So, Iris, your comments didn't specify what section of the MGA. It was in some training materials?
That's correct, yes. So municipal affairs hosts a video for property tax training, and in that video they present a slideshow, and in that slideshow they have that property tax checklist, and the wording in that property tax checklist says that it's a common mistake and it should not be rescinded primarily, and then they go on discussing it, and the gist, this is not word for word, but the gist of what they discussed in the video is to say that just because you're bringing in a new property tax bylaw does not mean the previous bylaws don't exist anymore, because you could still have outstanding collection that bylaw applies to. And that collection cannot occur if that bylaw doesn't exist.
Okay, we will look into that further because I don't see that particular instant in the MGA, but if there is additional training that we need to look at, we will look into it.
Just as a follow-up, it kind of makes sense to me because the 2025 bylaw would only apply to 2025, but
That's correct. That's the way they explained it.
we still have monies that are flowing as a result of that budget, I would expect.
But those are captured in the next year's bylaw as reciprocal items that are carryover items, correct?
Jody, I can send you the link after today for that training video, and then everyone on council can have a look at it.
Yeah, and I just actually received from another member of our senior leadership team that why you cannot, but it says should not rescind them in brackets. So, yeah, an interesting debate. According to this, it looks like we may not be doing something wrong, but we could be doing something better. Again, I will look into it further.
Yeah, if it's a suggestion on some training video, that's just what it is. It's a suggestion. It's not law. The MGA is what we go by, from what everybody understands, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Well, Iris, you understand that the MGA is what we go by. That's where, like, the fact that you found a.
I actually don't appreciate being called in such an aggressive tone. There's no
I apologize, but you were laughing. I think you brought a good point forward here, and there's people giving you response, and it seemed like you found humor in some of the response, and I appreciate the dialogue. You've brought something up here that seems very important. So if there's something further that you'd like to add, I'd like to hear about it, because I appreciate that you brought this forward. It doesn't look like it's an MGA legislated piece. It looks like it's buried in a piece of training. And we're going to look at that and we'll learn from it. But if there's something else that is, I guess, eating at you, I would like to hear it, because you brought up something that was important. So if there's something there that, sorry, caused you to have a reaction, there's some dialogue that's happening here, so I'd like to hear it. If you want to share it. Don't have to.
I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate the call. Thank you for answering.
Councillor McGonigal, question?
I guess another way of asking the same question is, what is the purpose of rescinding that bylaw? If we don't need to rescind it, maybe we shouldn't in this motion until we look further down into it.
Yeah, that's exactly what Chris and I were just discussing, that we'll just take out we can repeal the bylaw at a future meeting if we so wish to do so. But for today, I think we just pull that portion out of what we're doing today and get clarification on Iris's comments. Any questions? I think that's fair. Anyone else? Questions for Jordan? Councillor Cooey.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Not just, not a question, Jordan, just a comment. A lot of the questions were directed at administration. And I just want to clarify that our conversations in a very long budget deliberation was between administration and council. Council was just as much a part of those decisions as administration. They absolutely do bring forward recommendations to us, but in the end, it was a joint decision on many of those items and issues. So I just want to be clear that this onus does not fall on administration. Council's been part of this discussion. I recognize we're looking at a 3.22 increase, and I recognize that times are tough for everyone, but times are also tough for our organization. And we need to also keep up certain standards for our community. Would we all love to have zero tax increases? Absolutely. Or lower tax increases? We sure would. But in my mind, when you do that, you fall behind. And that's when you have to play catch up. And we had a very good example of that this year in our budget process with the library, which has not been supported adequately for a number of years, and we had to play catch up. Had we not done that, we could be looking at a 2-point-some% increase, but that wasn't the way things played out. So as much as we'd all like to have more money in our own jeans, we also have an organization to run, and we have responsibilities to our residents. And for me, I felt that the 3.22, and appreciate you getting that back down under the 4, is a reasonable number that I am comfortable moving forward with.
Thanks, Councillor. No, Vicky, I still got you on here. Is that right? Sure. I've still got you on here on my list. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
We have a responsibility to operate the community, certainly, but we have to do it in response to what the community advises us, talks to us about. So I would, for one thing, really like the answer to Maureen's question. What are the top 5 drivers of the increase? Because the increase this year is equal to, from what I gather, the last 3 years' increases. So what are the top 5 drivers increasing this budget? Capital or operating, either which way.
I would have to take that away and get back to you. I wasn't prepared with a listing of the budget items for this property tax bylaw. So I'm sorry, I don't have that information in front of me right now.
Okay, I understand your concern and your want to double check. It's going to be hard for me to vote on this bylaw without that information. Thanks.
Go ahead. If you got it.
So I can probably provide a little bit of insight. One, there was a substantial increase to the library, amounting to about $120,000, I think, approximately from that perspective for their operating aspect of things. In addition, there was funding for operating the new aquatics facility that totaled about $300,000 approximately from that perspective. There was also some additional staffing costs that, while we made adjustments in 2023 to our compensation strategy here, some of those were absorbed through surpluses, but this year it caught up to us a little bit from that perspective. In addition, there was some additional costs from the RCMP as policing costs continue to rise for the community. So those would be, I think that's 4 that I was able to list. And then there's other capital reinvestments, new website, transportation master plan, and the sports field reinvestment. We started reinvesting into the school sports fields.
Okay, let me help you out. 9th Avenue ramp going up from 9th Avenue up onto Happy Trails, 50,000. BSRC large ice store, 70,000. Museum air conditioning, 19,000. Sprung door at Public Works, 52,000. Little Bow School improvements, that one's up in the air because it might be insurance paying for it, but that was 20,000. Snowplow, 515,000. Engo Zamboni battery replacement, 32,000. Rotary windmills, 50,000. Water treatment dewatering, 30,000. 112th Street assessment work, design and geotech, $100,000. Public Works design, started that process, 60,000. Fire truck computer refresh, 45,000. Fire rescue tools, 108,000. Sport field upgrades, $28,017. Transportation master plan, $75,000. Library accessibility upgrades, $425,000. Website upgrade, this year's contribution, $50,000. Hopefully that helps. Councillor Nychuk?
Sorry, thanks, Mayor Sawgrass. Did you have the handy bus in there too? Wasn't there did we have I was looking through some notes. We had handy bus in there for 25,000 too, I believe, but.
Yeah, that's on your right. That's on my other list here. You got it?
And
Are those property tax funded, all of that?
well, those are the projects that we're doing. That's what makes up like your like all of that together comes up with the taxation required to.
Those are coming from the reserve.
Some of them are. It's all of them. I'm just going through a whole gamut of list of what we're doing. Like it costs money to provide the service, the amenities, and that like some people like it, some people don't. Some people use this, some people don't. It's what our responsibility is to filter all that out and provide to the community the amenities and the services required. Councillor McGonigal, you're still on the no. Okay, go ahead.
And I want to make it clear that when we pass a bylaw, just because we pass the budget, if there are questions that arise, the council shouldn't be in the position of thinking they should rubber stamp the bylaw just because the budget, we've changed the budget since we first passed it. I just want us to think really carefully because this increase is going to substantially affect each individual tax-paying household. And that's my only point, is that the more questions we have answered, the better informed we are about whatever decision we are making. That's my only point.
Yep. Fair comment. Councillor Barton.
Thanks, Mayor. I think everybody's brought up good points. I think these are all things that we need to dive into, questions that the public has brought up and stuff. Although I agree with what Vicky said about not rubber stamping something, we've gone through this process for the last several months, and I'm not about to turn it back. Doesn't mean that we can't pull something out of the budget at a later date, right? I don't want this to be a stalling tactic, because 1.5% or what? Sorry, what was the number? The
increase?
Yeah,
3.22.
3.22, but it was 1.5 just this particular year versus the last 3 or whatever. Is that correct? You had brought it up.
Oh, dollars?
What's that? The tax levy that 1.5 million. So here's here's one question I have is, in the last several years, and I'm trying to wrap my head around a couple of things just to put some stuff in perspective. If we have 100 houses built in High River, that increases the tax, which would increase the amount of money that we have to spend. In the last several years, we've had several hundred houses built in High River. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was 2 years ago. We had around just under 100 houses built. We're not going backwards. We can't. We can't go backwards. We're going to continue to grow. We're not a village that is losing populations. We're gaining populations, so our costs are going to increase. Am I correct in saying that? Right? So I understand that everybody wants us to look at not approving, or some of the public wants us to not approve this tax bylaw, but that doesn't mean that we can't change something down the road. Is that correct in saying that too? So I don't want to stall this process. I want it to go through. If there's something that we can pull back, we've done it before in the previous 4 years. I think we, I don't know, that's my comment.
Let's just hang on. This is council debating this issue. This isn't, okay, we're not getting back and forth here. You're done, Councillor Barton?
I'm done, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Cooley?
Thanks. I wonder if there's a different way, especially when we get around budget conversations for this process. These are incredibly detailed questions, which we can't anticipate what's coming forward. I would never think that Jordan could come up with this off the top of the head, and I can tell you I sure couldn't respond to many of these sitting in this chair, and we've all spent the same amount of hours sitting in the chair. I can't come up with these answers, and I don't know if there's a different way for us when we come to budget discussions to whether we ask for questions to be submitted in advance so we can have some prepared answers. So this debate is a little bit clearer and cleaner. We can answer all those questions, but the questions that have been presented to us, I would not anticipate administration to be able to answer most of them, nor any of us sitting at this table off the top of our heads.
Councillor McGonigal?
I guess I just have a question. I appreciate that Councillor Barton has said we can move backwards or change amounts, but correct me if I'm wrong, but once the tax notices go out, those are legal debts. That's what people owe to us. If we change our mind in September and don't spend that money, we're not going to be refunding anybody. That's not going to change. So I appreciate Councillor Barton's comments, and the search for frugality will be a year-long thing. But at tax time, we're making a final decision for our taxpayers on the tax bylaw, final for this year. We're not given any refunds if we change our minds.
Councillor Jones?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. And I agree with Councillor Cooey with the fact that, these are questions that we can't answer off the top of our head, but we have done 4 or 5 day-long, half-day-long meetings on the budget process. So I do feel by now we should be at a point where questions have been answered or asked, and that we go forward with the understanding of what we agreed upon in those meetings.
Councillor Nychuk?
A couple of things. To Councillor Jones's point, yeah, we deliberated through a number of different sessions on this, and I thought as a council we had come to an agreement on where we wanted to be at this year. I also appreciate that there can always be newly raised concerns with what we're presented with here today, as to the 3 public comments we had today, and I appreciate that coming forward. Coming back to Councillor Barton's point on we can make decisions later in the budget is just a budget. It can be amended. Councillor McGonigal, to your point, we can't give a refund. No, we can't. But if we were to have a surplus, it can apply to the following year. So in a roundabout kind of way, if we did collect funds this year that we didn't spend, that would theoretically go into a reserve capacity where we could supplement something for next year. So there is a, I guess, if you want to say, a recapture that could be there. And please don't take that as I think we should tax the heck out of people and have a reserve bank account. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's if we did pull something out of the budget that we thought, hey, we can get away with not doing it this year or next year, and we did collect those funds from the public, it would give us the opportunity to have that in surplus where it could affect what we do next year. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out to hear your comments on that to see if that was making sense to me and anybody else sitting here at the table.
That's the only thing we could do, is apply any savings that we have to next year. But I'd like to see it maybe applied back into either an operating reserve or some sort of a reserve that's going to give some tax relief to the citizens if we do that.
And I think how we handle reserves is going to be discussed, I doubt over the summer, but probably into the fall. There was discussion through the budget process as to what to do with this tax stabilization reserve that was only created during COVID because of the extra money that we were, $4.5 million or so that we acquired during COVID. That was not something that has ever existed before, nor does it exist in any other community that I know of. That was just how CAO Prosser advised council at the time as to how to handle that extra money. In my mind, any reserve is a tax stabilization reserve. You're going to use some of that at some point in time to reduce tax increase for projects you want to do. So I think, in my mind, we've gone through the process. Like Councillor Jones said, we went through a very lengthy budget process, not only for those specific 4 or 5 meetings, day-long, whatever they were, meetings that we went through this process, but we talk about this stuff constantly, all year long. This is not a thing that's only thought about for 4 meetings. It's constantly discussed as projects that come to council and are being requested that the community wants us to do, such as how do we handle lifeguards, and we need to be paying full-time lifeguards instead of running this casual stuff where we end up with no lifeguards at some point in time, and then programs got to get stopped. So there's these kinds of things that come to us at all times. We've got to filter it out and operate this community as best we can with the funds that we have, and trying to keep any tax increase as low as we possibly can while serving the community as best we can. So I'm in full support of today's bylaw. So on that note, Councillor McGonigal.
And I'm just going to be clear, I will support the bylaw today, because we did go through it as a council and we went through it as carefully as possible. But I do think moving forward, we have to take very careful attention to the comments we receive from members of the community on the money that we're spending. It's not our money, it's other people's money. We can't ever forget that.
Nobody's disputing that. So, on that note, I will ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council give first reading to bylaw 4661-2026, the 2026 property tax bylaw, and that council give second reading to the previously mentioned bylaw, and that all council give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 4661-2026, the 2026 property tax bylaw.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4661-2026, the 2026 property tax bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we will get clarification on repealing previous year's bylaws, as I'm curious, because that is something we've done every year.
What about the 153,000?
Pardon me?
And what about the 153,000
What about it?
in question 4?
Why we didn't use reserves?
Correct.
Council choice. I don't know how else to answer that. Could have.
Would have saved 153,000 on the property taxes.
Could have, yes. But we chose to fund it through taxation, obviously. Council's decision.
Would have been an easy win.
I don't see it as a loss. You and I have very different opinions on.
You and I have different bank accounts is what we have.
I doubt it. Yeah, now you're making it personal, exactly. So, Subdivision Development Authority bylaw. Sarah?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In recent years, the town has been receiving an increasing number of development applications that involve significant changes within established neighborhoods. These include higher density housing forms, infill redevelopments, and redevelopment of older areas. These applications often generate strong public interest and require careful consideration of the neighborhood context and long-term planning objectives of the town of High River. Under the current bylaw, administration is delegated the full authority to decide on all development applications, including those involving variances, and for all major development permit applications. While this has supported some efficiencies, it has limited council's direct involvement in these types of applications that may have broader community impacts. Since the most recent election, council has expressed a desire to take a more active role in decisions involving variances in major development permit applications. The proposed bylaw reflects this direction. To support this governance structure, administration has established 3 categories of development applications as per the drafted bylaw before you today. Firstly, the following applications will continue to be decided by administration. Those are greenfield single detached dwellings with no variances, signage applications, renovations, additional dwelling units that are located either within a basement or within the main dwelling, portable school classrooms, outdoor storage uses, outdoor patios for restaurants, cafes, and for similar establishments, change of use applications, home occupations, subdivisions, and stripping and grading permits. Next, the following applications will be presented to Committee of the Whole for review and comments only. Infill single detached houses with no variances. And finally, the following applications will require a formal decision from council. All major development permit applications with or without variances, all greenfield single detached houses with variances, and all infill single detached houses with or without variances. The land use bylaw outlines the powers of the development authority, but does not specifically identify who the development authority is. That delegation occurs through the subdivision and development authority bylaw. Because council is now assuming responsibility for certain types of applications, the proposed new subdivision and development authority bylaw has been drafted to clearly establish this delegation and includes a clause confirming that it prevails in the event of a conflict between it and the land use bylaw. As part of the ongoing land use bylaw update, administration will be reviewing sections that were drafted under the assumption that administration would continue to act as development authority for all applications. This includes proposed process timelines and procedural steps that must now reflect council's further involvement. Implications to this proposed bylaw include that certain types of applications will now need to go to committee of the whole and council and follow those meeting cycles. This may add time depending on meeting schedules and agenda deadlines. However, it will provide clearer oversight and ensure that decisions reflect council's strategic direction and also community expectations. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions from council? Councillor Cooey.
Thanks, Mayor Squatters. Thanks, Sarah. Leads. My only question was just around anticipated delay in the process for the developer. I mean, I suspect there'll be a slight delay during the regular season, maybe, or during our regular scheduled meetings, but in the summer we do only do 2 meetings. So what do you anticipate that delay? Is it being significant, or what do you anticipate on that, Sarah?
Yes, thank you for the question. To make sure that I also fully understood the implications of that, when I was writing this council report, which was written on May 7th, I decided to take a pretend application through a scenario. So the application, this kind of fake application, in the scenario, I had received it as complete. There were no issues, nothing missing on May 7th. And then I took it through the steps of our initial review, making sure it gets on the agenda for a committee of the whole meeting, because my anticipation was that this was a major development permit application. Then I gave the developer about 10 days to make changes based on what feedback might have come out from that committee of the whole meeting. Then I figured out which date would be the next available council date based on all of the agenda timelines that we have set up. As you said, there are only 2 agendas in the summer, one in July and one in August. So in my scenario, they needed to get onto the July agenda for committee of the whole, and then the August one for council. So in that scenario, kind of best case, where administration is still doing our thorough technical review as well as going through those 2 council meetings, the best case scenario that I discovered was August 31st. So that means that something that was received as a complete application on May 7th would be looking at an August 31st approval from council.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of an interim, might stick around, but in spite of the land use bylaw being worked on right now, it may look differently when that is done. Am I correct or wrong in thinking of that way?
It is a possibility, but I think it is important to understand that these are 2 separate bylaws, related certainly, but if there are changes that council wants to consider in the future for how subdivision development authority is delegated, that those changes would go into this particular bylaw as opposed to the land use bylaw.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Councillor Bookwell.
Thank you. I was just wondering, so what you had explained there, so does that create like a month-long delay for the normal contractor? Or I know you said it was May to August, but under the procedures now, it's that. And then one other quick question, because I like this whole concept to have more eyes on, especially the infill stuff. You had the all infill single detached homes with or without variances. If they were all completely compliant, would that need to come back to us?
Great questions. I'll answer the second one first. I think when administration was drafting this proposed bylaw, we were under the assumption that council did have a targeted interest in looking at those infill developments. However, we are certainly able to make changes if we had misinterpreted council's wish on that point. But you are correct. As it is drafted right now, it was our anticipation that council wanted to have that decision-making authority for the infills. And for the original question, so once we receive an application that is complete, there's nothing missing on it. We do circulate for 3 weeks, provide the applicant with comments. The applicant may take 3-4 weeks or so to get back to us. But when we are doing that process, we are not concurrently trying to get on council agendas and committee of the whole agendas. So I think because we are looking at potentially 2 separate meetings, committee of the whole and council, that would be possibly a 2-month delay during the summer periods or a 1-month delay during the regularly scheduled every other week period.
Okay, thank you. And I think I understand on the other one with the infill is that came out of the garage, I think, so that it's not a full thing, but it might be the smaller part where the carriage houses, I guess they're called, that those are added in there. So that makes sense now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor McGonigal?
Does this bylaw assist council in addressing or dealing with the traditional neighborhood designation that we're grappling with in the revamp of the land use bylaw? Does this give us an extra tool to keep sort of eyes on that section?
Absolutely. I would definitely say that it does give council an extra tool, like you said, to keep eyes on it, because right now throughout our current process, as administration is the development authority, we're receiving the application, we're reviewing the application. I'm certainly circulating it to all of the other divisions that we require those technical eyes on. However, council is not currently being circulated in that manner. So yes, I would agree with your assessment that this is going to be giving council an extra tool to have more eyes on it, to be ensuring that what the town of High River is approving is in line with council's strategic goals and community expectations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Cooey that council give first reading to bylaw 4662-2026, the subdivision development authority bylaw, and the council give second reading to the previously mentioned bylaw, and that all council give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 4662-2026, the subdivision development authority bylaw.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4662-2026, the subdivision development authority bylaw, and the council repeal bylaw 4415-2014.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Lee. See ya. Okay, next one. Councillor board and committee reports. Anyone? Councillor Cooey?
Thanks. Just wanted to share some more good news from West Winds. They have secured $850,000 through Alberta Affordable Housing Partnership to support the development of a high-quality, affordable 10-unit townhouse project in partnership with the town of Okotoks. Kennedy Terrace is the name, and the High River Connection has been named after High Riverite Sandy Kennedy, who was a longtime resident here, town councillor in Okotoks, and a member of West Winds, and a strong community advocate in both communities. So, High River Connection to that piece of property there.
Cool. Thanks, Kathy. Councillor McGonigal.
Just a couple of updates. The library is currently finishing up their plan of service, and so thank you to all the people in the community that have participated by filling out the survey. That assisted a lot, and so hopefully in June you'll see a new plan of service. And on the museum, they have their annual general meeting this Wednesday. I believe it starts at 6, but I could be wrong, double check. And their meeting is upcoming at 7. Thank you.
Thank you. One update that I promised previously I attended the meeting in Cochrane on Friday, which is from the former CMRB group that is now called the Greater Calgary Regional Table, which includes High River, Calgary, Chestermere, Airdrie, Rocky View, and Cochrane. Okotoks and Foothills County declined to be part of this group. And I am in favor of us continuing to be a part of this group. It's fairly harmless for anything that we're responsible. There's no financial commitment or anything for High River to be a part of this at this time. It's basically an advocacy networking group through primarily the 6 mayors. They have asked that we appoint an alternate, which I will be bringing back at some point in time, probably in October, that we do our org meeting and we'll designate the sitting deputy mayor as being an alternate to that group, and the alternate can also sit into those meetings as well. The terms of reference for it is, we can basically discuss anything that we want, but high level economic development is the biggest one. Advocacy for different pieces, and an example that was approved on Friday was that the group as a whole send letters to the province regarding the repeal of photo radar. The bigger cities, it doesn't affect High River or communities like Chestermere, because we didn't have in-town photo radar, but Calgary's feeling the pinch on it, so they asked for a letter of support going back to the province, asking them for legislation that would allow them to do more photo radar. They're having a heck of a time in some of their school zones and their certain crosswalks. I can't remember, you've been on talking about the number of accidents and injuries and deaths that are taking place on their crosswalks. The other one was Calgary also asked for a letter in support of asking the province for, I think the number was $432 million that they're asking from the province for their Bear's Paw feeder main that's quite famous across the country. So the group, again, agreed to give that letter of support to it. The other one was the train, the proposed train that would run from the Calgary airport all the way out to Banff, with stops in Calgary and in Cochrane. I asked a lot of questions about this because the proponent of this project came to CMRB a number of years ago saying that it was going to be 100% privately funded, which we all know it won't. However, it's in such it will be years and years and years before this thing goes through. There's so many hurdles for this thing to go. But I asked who else is supporting this, and is Banff supporting it? And they said yes. They assured that everybody else along the road was supporting it. But the group agreed to send a letter of support on that. It's a pretty harmless thing at this point in time. But the full terms of reference, so that's kind of what we did on the advocacy, just providing you some examples as to what gets discussed. Like I said, they're primarily a huge networking group, and that's where I actually saw the benefit. I know some of you know I'm skeptical about events like that and those kinds of things as to what value there is. I do feel there's value, but also Mayor Dean from Chestermere, he wanted to add as part of the list as the social needs that we have in our communities. I asked for an example as to what types of social needs that he would be looking at discussing, and his big one in that they're having troubles with in Chestermere is domestic violence, and how each community does things differently in those aspects. I did request that they also invite or add one environmental piece that I think is extremely important to everything that we're doing in all our communities, and especially when you're talking about ECDEV. But I said it wasn't just a broad environmental crusade of any kind. It was specifically, I asked for it to be focused on source water protection for all our communities. If we lose the water, we're all toast. So they all agreed unanimously to have that added. So that was a good win. But yeah, I was impressed with how the meeting went the other day. I enjoyed an hour-long drive to Cochrane and hang out there. Got away from work for a bit, so it was good. Yeah, it was good. Everybody's at the table for the right reasons, and so I do support us continuing on being part of that, and it'll come back at the org meeting in October. Anyone else? See none? Council correspondence requiring action, ratification of request from Joe Clark Run Club. This was an email request because it was time sensitive that went around, and council supported it, so it's just being ratified today. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council approve the donation of 12 daily recreation passes to the Joe Clark Run Club prior to the council meeting.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Council correspondence for information, a letter regarding Marigold Conference reflections, and update on Bill 28. And at this time, I will ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council recess the regular council meeting May 25th at 4:09 p.m. and move into a closed meeting.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Can you read this motion? The bursary motion?
Do you have a paper copy or? No, you've got it. Got it right in front of you. Councillor Snodgrass, make the following motion. Be it resolved that this is the one you want, right? Council award.
Yep.
Jean Faith Blaze from Christ the Redeemer Catholic Schools and Hannah Gwilt from the Foothills School Division of the Community Bursaries for 2026 in the amount of $1,000 each, subject to receiving proof of enrollment from each recipient.
Thank you, Councillor McGonigal. Motion from Councillor McGonigal is on the floor to award these two the bursaries. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. We are going to go back in camera at this time, so I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council recess the regular council meeting May 25th at 4:15 p.m. and move into a closed meeting.
You got my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. You're good, Ball.